I tell you, it was getting so good. They kicked me out. Boy, my goodness. So, hey, we are back. We are back. Again, we are not going to let this go until we get all the information out there. So, come on in, come on back in, come on back in. We are still live with the Unstoppable Story Show on Facebook. We are going to go until we get the information right. So please, please come on back in, swipe and share, swipe and share. I see two people are back in. Come on, come on, come on back. Great information. We had a great guest who was giving us some great information, and we definitely want you to hear about this not celebrating Cancer Awareness Month, but shedding light on Cancer Awareness Month with our guest, Lady Reshell Dotson Matheny. We're going to see if she makes it back into the room. Uh, Information is so good that the devil doesn't want you to have this information. Inspiration is so good that the devil doesn't want you to hear this so that you can be inspired. He wants you to continue to suffer. He wants you to continue to want to give up. But we are unstoppable because he is unstoppable. I know that you will be unstoppable, and therefore we all will be unstoppable. So we are going to continue to put this information out there. Hey, Fabiola, thank you for coming in. Come on in, swipe and share. Swipe and share. Appreciate you. We are waiting for our guests to come back in. Our cancer conqueror, Lady Reshell Dotson Matheny. She is the founder of Warriors Talk Inc., where she's helping cancer survivors, cancer supporters, family of cancer victims move from awareness into action. So we are going to keep going, keep going. Hopefully, she will come on back in. And if you have any questions for our guest when she does come back in, then by all means go ahead and put them in the comments right now. If you're watching the replay, go ahead and put hashtag replay, and I will definitely reach back out to you. We will have Lady Reshell reach back out to you so that she can answer those questions that I may not be able to answer. So we were having a lively conversation. We were talking about if you have that diagnosis, then make sure that you are listening to your doctor. Make sure you are understanding what your doctor is telling you about, and then take the proper action. Sometimes you may need to get a second opinion. That wasn't the case in Lady Reshell's instance because she found the lump, so she had the ideal, she had the feeling, she had the knowledge that said that this may in fact be true because of her experience that she went through with her sister prior to this. Thank you, Jamie. Hey, cuz, thanks for joining the broadcast. Hey, Greta, thanks for coming back. As soon as we get Lady Reshell back in the room and on the show, I'm going to ask your question. So I do remember your question, and we will make sure we ask it. Hey, Willie Price speaks. Thanks for watching. Stay with us. This is a great, great broadcast. We won't hold you long, but we are going to hold you strong so that you can hear this unstoppable story from Lady Reshell. It's information that is going to move you from awareness into action if you let it. This is not the month to just be aware of cancer. This is the month to take action about cancer. And once you take that action, trust and believe you will save. As I told you, my family, personal
Okay.
uh, father,
Somebody don't
mother, as
sorry.
well as so I know it. I know it from the outside looking in, and that's one of the things that we'll have Lady Reshell touch on. I know it from being a family member. I don't know it for myself. Lady Reshell knows it for herself, but she also knows it because she's had family supporting her throughout this process. So let's welcome back Lady Reshell Dotson Matheny. Lady Reshell, can you hear us?
Yes, I am here.
All right, thank you so much. I'm telling you, you know what? This we're gonna look back on this night, and this was just gonna say, here's another example of how we just continue to be unstoppable.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
So before you pick up from where we left off when we were talking about having the conversations with your doctor and following the doctor's advice, you didn't get a second opinion because you had the experience. You felt the lump for yourself. You had the experience going through it with your sister previously. So all those things gave you enough information for yourself to go forward. But Greta Lachelle Rose, she's in the comment section. She's asking, did you have any other signs other than the lump when you first suspected that there was a problem?
Actually, I did, but I did not know that it was linked to cancer. I didn't know. My left arm, at a couple of months before my diagnosis, it was like it would always feel like it was really tight whenever I try to stretch it or put it above my head. It felt like it was like something in there that was causing it not to be flexible. And I did not know what it was. So when I went in to get the examination, when my doctor examined me to feel the lumps, the first place she went was underneath my armpit and to touch my lymph nodes to see was it something there, and she felt a lump there. And so that was the first sign, but I did not know that it was linked to cancer.
And that was a different lump than the lump you felt yourself?
Yes, I didn't feel the lump underneath my arm. I felt it actually in my breast.
Okay, so that leads into the awareness. You had a guest on your show last night, Warriors Talk, on the UBM network, Urban Broadcast Media, every Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central. You had a guest that actually was taking you through the different ways of doing the examination. I'm not going to ask you to do that here, but just in general, many women, many men may think to just check around the breast and in the normal places. But how do we go more? How do we get more awareness, and how do they take more action in the self diagnosis?
Well, I'm going to encourage you to um, click the link for the show that I did yesterday because she went through a detailed breast exam that you would do at home by yourself. And you have to remember when you're doing a breast exam, it's not just the breast itself. It starts up by the collarbone and it goes all the way under your arm and underneath the breast. So you have to make sure that when you're doing it, that you're doing it where you're covering everything and you're taking your time, and it's a method to when you do it. And the reason for doing it is so that you would know your norms. So when something is not normal, then that next month when you're doing your breast exam, you're going to know, okay, this is not normal. This wasn't here last month. But if you're inconsistent with doing your breast exams, then you're not going to know what is your true normal. So I'm going to encourage you to press that link. It's going to take you through a detail of how to do this breast exam, because when she first did it, I'm like, that's not how you do it, because normally you just go to the breast part and that's it. She's like, no, you up here at the collarbone, you checking all in here, you underneath your arm in the groove of your arm, and you're pushing back past the lymph nodes to see if it's a lump back there. Now, had I known that when I first had that tightness in my arm, that I would have caught it. I would have caught it when it first was there. But I didn't know why my arm was so tight. And so that's one of the places that cancer starts, in the lymph nodes. When I had my surgery, and they take you in when you prepare for surgery, they put this dye in you, and the dye goes directly to where the cancer is. Where the cancer wasn't in my breast, it was in the lymph nodes. So I believe that it started there because I did the chemo, but it still didn't come out of the lymph nodes. So they had to remove 16 lymph nodes, and they tested all of them, and one came back. It had like a pencil lead size cancer cell in there when I had my surgery.
Wow. Wow. And again, there you go. There's how you know that this applied knowledge is power. Many of us we look at what we've seen other people tell us to do before, and we don't take that extra step, the extra stages to really finding out what is your situation, because you're where Lady Rochelle's situation was not only the breast but the lymph nodes. Yours may be the lymph nodes, and you, if you don't know to check the lymph nodes, then
Mhm.
you're going to be missing out. For
Yes.
men, I know myself, I have a sore shoulder all the time. I'm just thinking, I'm doing all the lifting in the house, but there could be something more. So get the knowledge and apply the knowledge. And I love how you said make sure that you get consistent with doing it on a regular basis. And once you get the routine down, and you
Mhm.
get consistent, then that's going to help you be more aware and maybe catch it sooner. Okay.
Because
So,
I'm sorry, she also mentioned, like, if you only got the mammograms when it was time to get the mammograms once a year, then what are you doing those other 11 months of the year? Who's watching out for your body?
yeah,
And so that's why the home exams are crucial to finding your own lump. By the time you go to the doctor, because most women who have breast cancer, we find our own lump. You find your own lump. And 80 to 85% of the lumps are benign, but you do most of the time find your own lump. So if you're doing them, you're going to find it at that stage to where you have more options to do something about it. By the time you go to the doctor and they find it on the mammogram, it's already huge and probably have moved to a different spot.
wow. Oh, and I know you're not a doctor, so again, follow up with your own doctor. But is the technique the same for men as it is for women, or is there
Yeah,
any slight differences?
it's the same. When she was on the show yesterday, she said that it was the same. It's just that your breasts are not protruding out, so your exam is going to be a little easier and a little quicker. But you will still do the same where you're checking by the collarbone, by your Adam's apple. You're still going under your arm. You're still doing the same thing.
Okay. Excellent, excellent information. So, men, you can do the same thing. Don't be afraid. Don't be scarred. Uh, be scared now so that you don't have to be scared later. That's what I'm saying. Hey, Whit, thank you. Thank you for joining the broadcast. Whit loves your rose, Lady Rochelle. Whit Devereaux, another one of our authors in our author community. Thank you so much. Whit, we need to have a side conversation so that we can talk about the other thing in October that we want to shed light on as well. So DM me if you can so that we can talk about getting on each other's schedule. Hey, Patrick Artist, thanks. Thanks. Patrick says this is great info. Definitely, this is info for men and for women. We are shedding light on cancer awareness in the month of October on the Unstoppable Story Show. So let's move more into the action. And here's where I want to talk, because you talk about this cancer journey is not just a personal journey. There's actually four different categories of it that you talk about. And I want you to share with them from the previver to the thriver. Talk about that journey and how everybody is included in this cancer journey.
So when it comes to cancer, you have a chance to get a jump start on cancer. And some things are just hereditary. So some things you're not going to be able to rule out altogether. So there's a previvor, a co-survivor, a survivor, and a thriver. The previvor is someone who gets tested. It's called the BRCA test. It's short for breast cancer. And it's the BRCA1, BRCA2. When you take this test, it'll tell you if you're positive or negative for the cancer gene. And those who test positive, normally most of them will do the preventive measures, as in getting a double mastectomy, getting a hysterectomy, because if you test positive, you have an 85% chance of getting breast cancer and a 55% chance of getting ovarian cancer. So if you have this information ahead of time, you could get a jump start on saving your own life. I think of Angelina Jolie, who took preventive measures, and she's a previvor. I know a couple of other women who are previvors who did the same thing because someone in their family test positive, and they went and took the test, and sure enough, they test positive. When I took the test, I test negative, but I'm still telling my girls, because I have four daughters, I'm still telling them to get a head start on doing their own breast exams. And they know to get tested 10 years. When I was diagnosed at 43. So at 33, they know that they should be getting tested and not sitting around waiting. Then you have a co-survivor. A co-survivor is someone who's right there with you that goes through this journey with you. They feel just about everything that you go through. They're up close and personal. Then you have the survivor, like myself. You actually went through all of the treatment, the diagnosis, and you conquered it. You came out a survivor. A thriver is someone who is stage 4. There's no cure, but they're thriving through life. There's something that's keeping them alive, whether it be the medicine that they're taking or whether it just be God is giving them more time. And so those are the 4 cancer, I don't want to say victims, but cancer conquerors, because as long as you're alive, you're still surviving.
I love it. I love it. And that segues into your being positioned for purpose. And Lady Rochelle and I met back just about a year ago. We started our conversation. I put out to the world, to the universe, that I wanted to have some unstoppable stories into a book. I wanted to talk about and talk to people that were no longer allowing their past to rule over their purpose. They were ready to move from their past and walk into their purpose. And Lady Rochelle was the first one who signed up because, and I'll let you tell the story, you recognized that there was something more that you were called to do at that time. Yes or yes?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
what made you decide to tell your story on a international, because this book is international now. What made you decide to tell your story on an international scale?
Well, the first thing I can think of is that I don't want anybody to go through what I went through. If I can help somebody, anybody, even if it's one person, to not have that cancer diagnosis and to get on top of their health so that they can take action early, then I've done my job. I believe that me going to sit with my sister at her appointment was God positioning me. Having to see the chemo up close and personal. And then 3 years later, I'm sitting in that same seat. Now here's the kicker. If I had took action 3 years when she got diagnosed and I would have went in and say, hey, my sister has breast cancer. What are my chances of getting it? I may have been at a stage 0 at that time and probably wouldn't have had to do chemo or radiation. So that's why taking action is important to me. And so I try to tell everybody to when God is tugging on you, and let me tell you, because he tugged on me with this cancer, I always say he threw a pebble at me, he threw a rock, and then he threw a boulder. So the cancer was my boulder, and it was something that I couldn't do on my own. And so I felt like God was putting me in a position to where I couldn't depend on nobody but him, that nobody else was going to be able to heal and deliver me from cancer. And so he let me see my sister at that chemo appointment, setting me up, positioning me for my chemo 3 years down the line. And as I sat in my own seat, I think about it, it's like God has a sense of humor because I just sat with her in that seat. And then here I am sitting in my own seat. And like I said, I don't want anybody to have to go through this. We don't have to wait for a cancer diagnosis to do what God wants us to do. And he was positioning me the whole time. If I think about over my life, the different things that I was doing as far as like community service, everything that I was doing was positioning me for this very moment. When I decided to do the radio show, everything flowed so smoothly, and the reason why is because I know God had a hand in it. It was what he wanted me to do.
Absolutely. But you talk about in the book that bef you didn't realize at that point that you were positioned for purpose. As a matter of fact, you had more reasons to die than you had to
Yes.
live, right?
Yes. So when I talk about my cancer journey, I always think about me going through physically, mentally, and spiritually. Um, we concentrate on the physical part. The mental part, we really don't concentrate on. So as I'm going through the mental part, I'm thinking like, I have these babies. I have 5 babies. And the last thing I want to do is to die on my babies from cancer. I didn't want them to see me sick. I wanted them to be able to see their mama strong. And so I had to find my reason to live. And let me tell you, it's so easy to give up, especially when you have these sick days and you're not able to get up and you wipe out every time you try to get up. When you have chemo, you can't eat anything. It's hard. Your hair is falling out. Your skin is turning dark. You're losing fingernails. Everything is going on. It's so easy to give up. But I thank God for keeping me sane and to looking at my babies and me being able to find a reason to live. Even if I didn't want to live for myself, I found my reason to live for them because they needed me.
Wow, that is a powerful testimony, and I really thank you so much for sharing that. I know you've shared it many times now, and I can see that it still gets you every time you share it, and that's how you really know when you're walking in your purpose, when you can relive it and feel it just like you were right there in the moment, but you are strong enough now to share it from a point of love, from a point of action, from a point of wanting to reflect on what you went through so that you can help other people get to where they need to go. And you are actually doing a gala this month called the Survivors Night of Reflection to provide support and encouragement and awareness and action to people who are going through this journey. Talk briefly about that, and then we're gonna wrap up for the night.
Well, this is Warriors Talk third annual Survivors Night of Reflection. So this is a night for the survivors to come together and reflect on our journey. So often when we go through this journey, we have tunnel vision. So we're going through with the hopes of we're going to survive this. So we don't really take time back to reflect on the journey and what it took for us to get through it. So this is a night for us to not only reflect, but to enjoy ourselves. We're raising money for warriors who are in battle, and we also crown a survivor of the year that night as well. So the money that's raised that night goes directly to a warrior that's in battle. So I'm excited. This is the third year and it's just going to be amazing.
I love it. I love it. And you guys, you can get more information about that third annual Survivors Night of Reflection by going to warriorstalk.org. That's the official website for Warriors Talk Incorporated. You can also get more information about her book. You are unstoppable, moving from past to purpose at that site. And I believe you're going to have some copies at the event on Saturday as
Yes,
well, right?
I will. Absolutely, I
Absolutely.
will.
Absolutely. But it doesn't end there. It doesn't end there. We want you to move from awareness into action. And here's something that I know. I know there's somebody who's watching this live or who's watching the replay. You've had your own cancer journey and you've got your own cancer story. And somebody, just like somebody needed to hear Lady Rochelle's story, somebody needs to hear your story because they may not connect to Lady Rochelle's story. Maybe something about Lady Rochelle that just doesn't hit it off with them, but they're waiting to hear your story. Somebody's struggling right now. Somebody's confused right now. Somebody doesn't know what they're going to do next because they haven't heard a story that's going to let them know that they can make it too. Here's your opportunity to tell your story. I want you also to go to warriorstalk.org and connect with Lady Rochelle because she is going to be putting out a book of her own regarding this cancer journey. What's the title or what's the working title of the book right now, Lady Rochelle?
Warriors Talk, God Listens.
Absolutely. When warriors talk, God listens. When you
Yes.
step out and you talk about your journey, God's going to listen to you and God's going to use your message to help somebody else, not just change their life, but save their life. So if you've got a story about your cancer journey or just a story of survival and you want to share it, here's your opportunity to work with Lady Rochelle and to work with myself to make your story out, get your story out to the masses so that you can make a difference in the lives of others. So go to warriorstalk.org if you want tickets to the third annual Survivor's Night of Reflection. If you want to get a copy of the book, You Are Unstoppable, Moving from Past to Purpose, or if you want to be in the next book, When Warriors Talk, God Listens. Go to
Yes.
warriorstalk.org, connect with Lady Reshell, or you can DM us right here in the
Yep.
comments right here, and I'll make sure those requests get to Lady Reshell, and then we are going to help you get your message out to the masses. All right, Lady Reshell, before my battery dies completely, any last thoughts you want to share with the audience?
I just want to say real quickly about when you first get a cancer diagnosis, about talking about how to tell your family. And you should be very strategic because you have to process it yourself first. So once you actually process the information yourself, then you can tell your family. So you have to, as they would say, set up goals. When you set goals, you get the family together, set up time for you to tell them. Don't go through this journey by yourself because you're not going to be able to make it. You need your support system around you. So you bring the family together. And for the G part of goal is getting together. The O is being open. Make sure that you're open and everybody else is open to tell the story about what's going on. And the A is for acknowledging that you have this diagnosis, acknowledging their feelings and their emotions, and everybody just acknowledging, not necessarily trying to justify, but acknowledging. And the L in goal is for learning. Learn about the diagnosis. You do research, I do research, we come together with our ideas. And the S in goal is for strategy. Come up with a plan for you to conquer this cancer. So you have to have a goal in mind when you're going through and share the information with your family because you do not want to go through a cancer diagnosis alone.
I love it. I love it. Even in your cancer journey, you can set goals. Get together, be open, acknowledge. What's the L?
Learn,
Learn
learn, hmm and have a strategy.
and have a strategy. If you
Yeah.
have a strategy, then you too and your family can be unstoppable on this cancer journey. But the first thing is to move from awareness into action.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Lady Reshell. Thank you for the 4 times that we came together tonight to make this happen. We may have stumbled, but we continue to be unstoppable. Thank
Yeah.
you. Continue to share your message to the masses, and God bless you for your journey and for your ministry.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Hey, you guys, thank you guys for coming back. Go ahead and share this video. And as always, wherever you are in the world today, don't just make it a great day, make it an
And then
unstoppable day. Take care.